दोस्त आशीष झा। पेशे से है ये इंजीनियर, लेकिन माहौल बनाने में है माहिर। हुए हैं आप रूबरू इस गबरू की स्टाइल से फ्रॉम शुरू। न सुनी हो आपने इनकी आवाज और अंदाज, तो जरूर कर ले श्रीमान आगाज। भारतfm.com के रिकॉर्ड्स या कर ले कॉन्टैक्ट 5134885070 पर रिलैक्स।
This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत, झूमेगा भारत।
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत, झूमेगा भारत।
Namaskar, viewers from all around the globe. Welcome to this next episode of Rubaru. We are going to be talking with a very, very interesting personality today. I know all of you, a lot of you have very, very big questions that you are dealing with right now due to the travel restrictions and everything that's going on. So we are going to answer your questions. We are going to hopefully help you traverse the complicated paperwork route that a lot of you have to go through, and pathways that you have to go through in order to connect with your friends and family back home in India. So we have the Deputy Consul General of India based in New York here, Mr. Shatrughna Sinha. Welcome, sir. Hearty welcome to you to this Rubaru segment. We thank you for your time. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Deepikaji. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Great. Okay, let's get started right away. As I mentioned before, sir, one of the topmost questions on people's minds right now is how can they stay connected with their friends and family back in India? So if I am somebody here in the United States, can you please explain to us a little bit about what the latest travel restrictions are and how people can traverse through those restrictions and connect with their family and friends back home?
Thank you so much for asking that very relevant and probably the most important question on everyone's mind. You are right. The travel restrictions are in place for almost a year now. March 12th last year, Government of India suspended tourist visas. So people in the United States who are US nationals and had long-term tourist visas cannot travel to the US without getting an emergency visa. A visa in family emergencies. Although we are calling it an emergency visa, the technical term is an entry visa. We are issuing visas valid for 6 months and for 2 entries, double entries. OCI card holders can travel without any problems. They can just book their tickets and travel. The Indian passport holders, of course, can travel without any hitch. US nationals who do not have OCI cards, they need to reach out to the consulate to apply for a visa, and they need to give us the reasons for their travel. The business visas and employment visas are allowed, but all others they need to show some case of emergency for us to issue the visa. They can reach out to us through our website. If you go to our website, you'll find a dashboard called Pramit. Either you can reach out to us through Pramit, or you can write an email to visa.newyork, visa.newyork@MEA, that is Ministry of External Affairs, MEA.gov.in. If you write an email to us giving your circumstances, we send you an approval that will also have the link, the visa application form link. You have to print out the filled up form, send the relevant documents and the passport to the consulate, and we will issue the visa in a few days, and we'll send it back to you. In death cases, in cases where there are deaths in the family, we are allowing people to also come to the consulate in person and submit the applications personally. We in those cases we issue the visa the same day.
Okay, that's excellent, sir. I want to, for our viewers who may not have had a pen ready, I'm going to repeat that email address that you said. It's visa.newyork@mea.gov.in. Correct? Yeah, I just want to make sure that viewers who haven't been able to catch that have access to that information and are able to connect with you in order to get their issues resolved. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, can you talk a little bit about the commercial flights that were initially canceled until January 28th, and that has been now extended to February 28th? Can you shed some light on that? And do you know if there's any, chances that commercial flights might reopen, or will they continue to extend that closure?
Because I think that you have not traveled to India in the last year. Yeah, it's quite clear. The flights were stopped for a period of time just after the initial lockdown happened in March last year. But within 1.5 months or 2 months, the flights resumed. Now, initially the flights were limited, but after that, an air bubble agreement was signed between India and the US.
Yeah.
So there are a number of flights now operating between India and the US. Air India is flying daily from Newark in New Jersey and JFK, as well as other places like SFO and Chicago. United is similarly flying several flights a week. So both United Airlines and Air India are operating. So I don't see any scarcity for seats in terms of demands. Anyone who wants to travel to India can generally travel. I have not come across any demands for more flights. So visas are still a concern, and we are hoping that restrictions as we go forward in containing the pandemic, there will be less restrictions also on other factors, and hopefully visa restrictions will also be lifted soon.
Great. Sir, you spoke before about OCI cards specifically. Could you tell us a little bit about if somebody has an OCI card or somebody has a specific visa status, it could be H1 or a student visa or something, that is about to expire. Can you shed some light on what steps people need to take to ensure that their status is not expired for?
So OCI cards are being renewed without those people whose OCI cards need renewal can apply through our outsourcing service provider VFS, and can submit their applications. In all cases will take around a week. Fresh cases take at least 3 weeks once we receive the applications at the consulate. Now we have seen an increase in the number of OCI applications, probably because there are visa restrictions in place and OCI card holders can travel freely to India. I would, at this stage, I would just like to explain a bit regarding the requirements for renewal.
That would be great. Thank you.
Government of India had rules in place which they had not been implemented last year, but now we are implementing these rules regarding renewals. Anyone below 20 years, that is for all the kids and minors, every time you get a new passport, the OCI cards needs to be renewed.
Right.
So if you are going to the airport and you don't have the same passport number as as is registered on your OCI card, then there may be problems. Last year when it started getting implemented, there were a lot of issues, and because of the pandemic situation and the demand from the community, Government of India extended this exemption till June of this year. But I would request your viewers and listeners to get a new OCI card if your child is below 20 years and has a new passport in place. Similarly, for people above 50, you need to get your OCI cards renewed at least once. So anyone who has got his or her OCI card after 50 years, after attaining the age of 50, need not have any new OCI card. But someone who has got the first OCI card below 50 and acquires a new passport after turning 50, maybe if someone gets a new passport at the age of 55 or 57, then you should get your OCI card renewed at least once. After that, you cannot renew for the rest of your life, but at least once the renewal is required after 50. Between 20 to 30, even if you have a new passport and you can travel with the OCI card, but the condition is that you need to carry the old passport, which means the passport number which is mentioned on the OCI card needs to be accompanied. The passenger should have that passport as well.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you so much for explaining that, sir, because I can imagine how there might be name differences, or there might be instances where people leave their old OCI cards back, or the paperwork is not matching up between the new passport and the OCI card. So thank you very much for explaining that. Really appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of a tangent at this point, sir, and ask you a question regarding the new administration here in the U.S. Can you talk to us a little bit about what are some of the things that you are looking forward to doing together with the new administration, and how the Indo-US relations are going to look like in the next 4 years? Can you paint a little bit of a picture of that landscape, please?
Oh, thank you very much for asking that question. As you are aware, India-US relations are very wide and deep. So wide, I mean, there are so many sectors in which we collaborate and cooperate very closely. Deep means in some of the sectors, the relationship, the interactions are very frequent and very intensive. With the new administration, of course, we have new opportunities, and right now, I think the primary focus for both the governments is managing the pandemic. And even during the pandemic, both US and India have collaborated on various things. So this pandemic has brought healthcare into focus. I see a number of opportunities for collaboration emerging in the healthcare sector. Similarly, there will be the climate change has it always was an important factor for an important element of India-US collaboration. But given the commitment of both sides to managing the climate change, I think climate change will see much more interaction and much more engagement. The defense area, the security cooperation has always gathered momentum over the last many years. And what I see is that momentum will continue. Similarly, in the last several years, there have been new areas of emerging cooperation, like civil aviation, for example. So we with the new administration, we also feel that there will be new areas of cooperation, especially in the field of new and emerging technologies, in digital technologies. Both sides have their own strengths. India brings a lot of engineering talent. US has the ecosystem, which is mature, and if we come together, then obviously there is benefit for both sides. So I think these are some of the areas which we are looking at: climate change, renewable energy, new and emerging technologies, digital technologies, and healthcare. Of course, the previous areas of cooperation will remain and will further expand, including things like civil aviation, things like security cooperation, defense equipment, etc.
That's very interesting, sir. I have a follow-up question with regards to, you mentioned that, new and emerging technologies. You mentioned that India has a huge talent pool. That reminded me of the H-1 visa issue. Are we expecting that larger numbers of qualified Indians can now travel to the US in order to work and research here and achieve the employment status that they were not able to do in the previous 4 years?
Well, mobility of skilled manpower has been an important point of engagement for us, and we have earlier also we have been in touch with the US administration on H-1B visa issues. With the new administration, I hear that there will be a new thinking, and there is supposed to be some forward movement on it. We look forward to that, and I understand Indian engineers and Indian strength in science and technology will be available for the US economy as well as for the global economy. And I don't see it as something which will create any problems or irritants for both countries. I see this as a something which will strengthen the relationship between the two countries.
You mentioned a lot of areas of Indo-US cooperation. What do you feel is the so we keep hearing a lot about healthcare right now because of the pandemic. Obviously, India has done some fantastic work with the vaccine. And my question is, what are you, according to you, what do you think India has to offer to the US? And it could be in terms of healthcare or climate change or either of the areas. What do you think is the best asset that India is currently offering to the US?
Well, the most important asset is people like you, the talented Indian Americans who are here in the US. They contribute a lot to the society. Indian Americans not only are one of the most affluent ethnic groups, but are also very highly educated. And I mean, I don't see any other group, ethnic group offering so much to the US economy and US society. So, of course, Indian Americans remain a very strong pillar of India-US relationship, and we appreciate your contribution. But apart from that, I think generally India has a lot to offer. India has over the years gained strength in various fields. If you just take the example of vaccines, while several countries tried developing vaccines and succeeded. India is one country which succeeded in developing several vaccines. Two of these are already they have been approved by the government of India and are being administered within the country. But there are several other vaccine candidates as well within India. And all these vaccines have been developed at a very low cost. We have donated or supplied more than 23 million vaccines to several countries in the world. So what it shows is we have strengths in fields, in several fields, and we bring not only our technical strength, but we have the ability to do things at low cost. Vaccines have also been developed elsewhere, but you see the cost and you see the handling cost of these vaccines. So we have our strength in frugal innovation, and we pride ourselves on that. So in all the areas which I mentioned, I see a lot of collaboration. Of course, there is technology available in the US, which could be very well used and replicated in India, and we need not reinvent the wheel for that. But using it in the Indian context and adding things from the Indian requirements, Indian viewpoint, will only add more value to it. It will be useful not only for India but for the whole world. So I feel there are various complementarities. I mentioned regarding engineering talent. You just see the field of new and emerging technologies. While the new data economy is based on data, the Western world, the developed countries like the US and several countries in Europe, they have their strengths in technology. They have a lot of new technology on how to mine that data. But the countries like India, which are huge and which provide that data. So we have these kinds of complementarities where we can come together and work for the betterment of the world.
Perfect. And I have to tell you, I feel so proud to be an Indian when I hear of all of these achievements and the huge steps that Indian science and technology has been making in the recent past. Sir, I have a question here from Gagan Agarwal. Gagan is asking, if I lost OCI passport, how do I renew it? And he says that he has the photocopy of his lost OCI passport.
I think what he means is he has lost his OCI card, because there is nothing called OCI passport.
Correct.
Yeah, so he can apply for renewal of his OCI card, and he can claim that he has lost the original, and he can enclose his photocopy of his OCI card. We will issue him a new OCI card. That should not be a problem. That is not a problem at all.
Okay. How long would that roughly take, sir?
So the renewal of the OCI card is a relatively easy process. Once we receive the application at the consulate, it takes less than a week. But the fresh OCI cards take more time, because there are certain procedures and clearances which we require also from India. But then renewal of the OCI cards generally take less than a week.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gagan. I hope that answers your question. If anybody has any other questions, please feel free to ask. And since we have Mr. Sinha here.
Yeah, I just saw another question regarding the updated guidelines for international travelers. So if someone has read that, the government of India has, for the last year, updated the guidelines based on the trajectory of the pandemic at least 2-3 times. And so the last updation was done on 17th Feb. And I think the question was, what is new in it? So what is new is now anyone who is traveling to India needs to get the RT-PCR COVID test done. That has been made mandatory. Earlier, it was not mandatory, and only if you wanted exemption from quarantine, then only you needed to get the RT-PCR test done. But now RT-PCR test is a mandatory thing, and you within 72 hours of boarding the plane, before less than 72 hours of boarding the plane, you have to have that RT-PCR test done. And with your negative test report, you have to upload it on a website, and then await for approval. The approval comes in generally within 24 hours. Then you can take the flight, and then you will be exempted from quarantine, or you can land in the flight. The boarding will not be denied. There is an exemption. Exemption is only in the cases of in family. If there has been a death in the family. Even in those cases, you need to take the RT-PCR test and upload. You need to upload your application for exemption within 72 hours of boarding the plane, and then await for approval. This is something which is new, which was not there earlier. So anyone planning travel to India, please get RT-PCR test done. Upload it on the website mentioned in the guidelines. The guidelines are available on our website. Our website is indiainnewyork.gov.in. indiainnewyork.gov.in. If you go to the What's New section, you can find the updated guidelines for international travelers. It is dated 17th Feb. And you should go through it before you plan your travel.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for answering that question. I hope that helped the viewers. Okay, so until we get more questions, sir, let me ask you one other question that is of personal interest to me. Can you talk a little bit about investment opportunities and any new opportunities, specifically in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, that have opened up recently since the events of last year? Can you talk a little bit about what those investment opportunities might be, in case somebody here is looking for investment opportunities like that?
No. Last 1 year, Jammu and Kashmir has witnessed a number of positive changes. You would have heard about the recent DDC elections. Those elections passed peacefully, and the kind of involvement and engagement which people had in these elections, we are very proud of that. So we are very happy that stability is returning and has returned to Jammu and Kashmir. Of course, with peace and stability, we need prosperity as well. So Jammu and Kashmir government is working on attracting investments in various sectors. Consulate General of India itself, we would like to be of assistance in attracting investments to Jammu and Kashmir. We recently did an event in which we promoted Jammu and Kashmir saffron. So we did a saffron promotion event. You asked about the areas in which investments are sought. I would say Jammu and Kashmir needs investment in all the areas. Whatever, if you it is tourism obviously will remain an important sector, but there are new changes. The kind of investments which the government has made in, for example, in education. There are a number of medical colleges available now. There are a number of engineering colleges. There are almost 7 new medical colleges, almost 15 engineering colleges which have been set up. So all these colleges are bringing technical manpower. If someone wants to set up a software company, there will be engineering talent available. Someone wants to set up hospitals, there will be medical talent available. The food processing industry, there is already inherent strength there. In terms of fruits and vegetables, there is a lot of opportunity in setting up food processing plants there. So I would say that any if you are interested, if someone is interested in for example, setting up hotels, that opportunity is available. Entertainment now, cinema halls are now available. Can be opened up, and people can go and watch movies. So you can set up, platforms for entertainment in Jammu and Kashmir. So, from Consulate General of India perspective, allow me to state that we are very happy to facilitate investments into Jammu and Kashmir. Anyone who is interested in any particular sector, we would be very happy to handhold. We will be very happy to connect them with the right people in Jammu and Kashmir, as well as in the government of India. And I see a lot of positive forward movement and engagement in the field of investment and business. Hopefully, very soon we will also have meetings and investment meets and road shows promoting Jammu and Kashmir in the US. Hopefully, just as the pandemic is over.
Great. That is such hopeful news and such wonderful positive news. So thank you for sharing that with us, sir. Okay, I'm going to switch tracks a little bit and go back a little bit into the fallout of the pandemic. So statistically, I have a question that just came in, sir. Let's ask that question first. So Ramesh Jadhav ji is asking, if you got COVID-19 vaccine 2 doses, what documents do you need?
As I said earlier, the RT-PCR test is mandatory. Even if you have got yourself vaccinated, that is immaterial. You need to get a negative COVID test report, and that also not the rapid test, but RT-PCR test. And within 72 hours of boarding the plane.
Okay, I hope Jadavji that answers your question. Okay. Oh, I have another question coming. Will it be possible to vote from USA for the next national election in India?
This has been on the mind of the number of non-resident Indians. This is a question which Election Commission of India is addressing. So far, we don't have any news on that. So I would rather not venture anything at this stage. Let us see.
Okay, perfect. So we'll keep our eyes and ears open for that. The next question that just came in, sir, is there any help for undocumented immigrants to renew their passports?
So government of India is very liberal in people providing documents to different sets of people. There are people who came here legally, but now have become out of status, or those who didn't come here legally but are Indian nationals. Our approach has been to help people, but we have to work within constraints of the law of the land. We have to respect US laws as well. My advice to anyone who is either out of status or illegal is, you can apply for renewal of your passport. The only thing which we need is your application to US authorities, USCIS, that you have. If you apply for regularization of your stay, then that is enough. Even if US government has not taken any decision regarding your status, or has not renewed your legal status, that doesn't matter for us. But we need an acknowledgement from them that your case is under our consideration, and that will enable us to issue a longer validity passport to you, 5 years or 10 years. For people who don't want to apply or can't apply for whatever reasons, and they just want their passport, my request to them is, you can go to India on an emergency travel document, emergency certificate. You just need to show us your ticket, and based on your previous passport, we'll issue you an emergency certificate. You can go to India and get your passport renewed there. But here we have this constraint. If someone is an illegal immigrant or doesn't have the proper papers for stay here, they need to at least file an application with the US government before approaching us for a long validity passport.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I have another question that came up, sir. Can we expect any official visits from the current GOI administration to the USA in the coming year?
As I mentioned earlier, India-US relations are so intensive. There is engagement at so many different levels and in so many various fields that there will be definitely visits from both sides, not only from India but also from the US. But it all depends on how pandemic opens up things, and hopefully now that vaccines are in place in both the countries, that problem should be resolved pretty soon, and people will start traveling.
Great, thank you, sir. Sir, Gagan Agarwal from before, the gentleman who was asking about the OCI and the passport has a follow-up question. It sounds like, can I travel to India right now with US passport and without OCI? I'm assuming he's saying without OCI card.
Oh, he can get a visa, and he has to apply for a visa. You can go to our website, and you can request for a visa either on Pramit or the email which I mentioned, visa.newyork@mea.gov.in. You can write to us. Once we issue you the approval to apply, you can send your applications, and we will issue you a visa. But if there is no urgency, then you can apply for renewal, and you will get it quickly.
Yeah, perfect. Gagan, I hope that answers your question. I felt like that was very clear, directive. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, sir. So until we get more questions, let me go back to my question, which is talking a little bit about the socio-cultural fallout of the pandemic to the Indian population here in the US. So anecdotally, I'm hearing, I don't have clear statistics on it, but anecdotally, I'm hearing that the instances, because of the lockdown situation, the instances of domestic abuse has gone up. And could you tell us a little bit about, if somebody is suffering from domestic violence and they are over here and feel like they are stuck here, what resources do you offer to them, and what help do they expect to get from you?
Yeah, you are right, Dipkaji. This is a very serious problem, and a lot of people, especially women, have suffered a lot here in the US. It is sad because many of these women are young women who got recently married and are away from their country without much support. Many have small children as well. So anyone who reaches out to us, we first of all connect them with the local organization. There are a number of organizations which we know, the consulate knows, and they work in this field. They provide, they extend a hand of support. They provide moral support and emotional support. In cases where the woman needs some legal assistance, Consulate General of India has also provided them some legal assistance. We have put people in touch with lawyers. In extreme cases where there is also need of financial help, we also help people financially. So there are a number of ways through which we try to assist people who are suffering domestic violence. People can write to us on madad.newyork@mea.gov.in. That is MADAD, madad.newyork, NEWYORK, @mea.gov.in. In case you are facing any issues, if anyone is facing any issues, you can write to us and we will try to be of some assistance to you.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. That is a cause very close to my heart. So thank you for having such a clear path for help for people who need it. Okay, I have another question that has come in from Mr. Gupta. They're asking for emergency visa. I got approval via email. I have submitted all the documents via UPS. How long is the process, and how long will it take for the visa to be issued for the emergency visa?
Yeah, so Mr. Gupta, once we get your applications, it normally takes less than 2 to 3 days to get to process the application and send back the passport with the visa. So I'm not sure when his application arrived, but if it has arrived today, it should probably leave this place in the next 2 working days.
Great, great. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, let's talk until we get, and we are continuing to get questions. So until we get the next one, I'll keep asking my questions. So thank you very much for hanging in there with us, sir. Really appreciate it. Okay, can you talk a little bit about some of the services that your consulate offers? I'm specifically talking about things like open houses and counselor camps that you have been conducting in the past and hopefully will continue to conduct in the future. Could you shed some light on some of the services that the Consulate General offers?
No, we do a number of these engagements. In pre-pandemic days, we used to go in person and address a lot of these queries. But we have we have started doing these Zoom sessions with the community organizations also, answering questions like I answered today. And these have been helpful in addressing so many queries. But at the same time, in the pre-pandemic days, we used to go and set up camps at various places in our consular jurisdiction, which is 10 states of the Northeast, where we used to grant services like attestation of power of attorneys, or at least pre-approve their OCA CAD applications. So all those things we used to do. We hope to start these camps very soon. And once things open up and the community organizations are comfortable in partnering with us in organizing these camps, we'll be very happy to again start traveling and setting up office in distant towns, probably for a day, and try to provide our services on that day. I'm hopeful that in the next couple of months we should be able to do that. But sessions like this, where talking on media, that has also helped us in reaching out to people. So Consul General of India's effort has been to reach out to the community as much as possible. This is we have made Consul General of India a very open place for Indian Americans. Please do consider it as your second home. If you are home away from home, if you are visiting New York, you're most welcome to come and see us as well.
That's fantastic. I feel like that is a very critical service that you're offering specifically to the Indian nationals and others who are not in New York City, for example, and are living in smaller towns. And, it's hard to commute. So reaching out to them for resolving their issues and conducting the paperwork is extremely helpful. So thank you. Thank you very much for the service that you offer. Can you talk to me, sir, a little bit about some of the programs that you might currently be involved in within the community? I know that your presence provides a very like you said, a second home away from home feeling among people. Can you tell us some of your office's outreach projects and any other projects that your office is currently involved in?
Of course, pandemic has restricted everyone and has also restricted us. But we have also, we have been encouraged to use more technology and to reach out to people. We have quite a few initiatives. For example, we used to do the legal aid session where the people in the need of some legal counseling, they used to visit us at the consulate, and we used to get lawyers, a team of lawyers, to advise them on the further course of action, free of cost. So that we have started, we have done a couple of these legal aid sessions virtually now. We also do a lot of outreach events for the students. There is a large number of Indian students in these 10 states which we cover. Many of these students have had to face a lot of problems because of the pandemic. We have tried to come to their rescue to help them as much as we can, and we also do frequent interactive sessions with them. We are also focused on promoting trade and business with India. Just today in the morning, we did an event with the coffee board and promotion of Indian coffee in the United States. So our efforts are wide and varied, and we try to do several things in promoting in India's interest, as well as strengthening India-US bilateral relations.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm assuming that, because of the pandemic, the personal touch is currently not there, but I'm sure that, Zoom and other video chatting facilities are helping with some of the work at least.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very, very good to hear that. I have an interesting question. When do you think, sir, that tourists can go back to India?
Yeah, we have issued large number of tourist visas in the United States. Now, on the face of it, it looks like all these are tourists, but most of these are Indian Americans who hold long-term tourist visas. There are a number of US tourists as well who go to India every year, and because of the suspension of the tourist visas, that traffic has almost stopped. Other types of visas have been restored. Business visa is already in place. Employment visa is already in place. There are people who want to go to medical treatment. They also can go. But this is still something which is being considered by Government of India, and based on the trajectory of the pandemic, I think once we are confident that it is not going to shoot up again, probably the tourist visas will also be opened hopefully soon. I don't have any date, but hopefully soon.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I wish we had a crystal ball that we could use to predict precisely what's going to happen. But thank you very much, sir. I see that I don't have any more questions right now. So I am going to take this opportunity, sir, to thank you for your time. And I also want to publicly commend and appreciate and thank Pramod Zaveri for setting up this interview. So I really appreciate that help from them. Sir, I wanted to end, and I know you're short on time, but we have one other question that just came in the nick of time.
I just saw this question.
Yeah.
So my advice to you is please go through the updated guidelines available on our website, and you have to follow those guidelines. Don't go by what I say, you go by what that document says, and it is fairly easy to understand, and all the it's quite detailed also. So I think I will leave it at that.
That makes perfect sense, sir. And you did already enumerate that and explain that in detail previously on the interview. So we really appreciate that. With that, I want to thank you, sir, for coming to our show, Rubaru. And we thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you can come back one more time. Before I let you go, sir, being the senior member of the Indian community here in the US, do you have any words of wisdom or words of advice that you want to share with the Indian community here that is suffering from lockdown, suffering from the pandemic, away from family and friends? Are there any words of advice or wisdom you want to share so that we can all keep our sanity intact?
No, my advice is, don't watch too much Netflix. Go out to get some exercise. Stay positive, stay fresh. Things are only getting better from here. And in case you need any assistance, any problems, please reach out to us. We'll be very happy to be of some help to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy Consul General of India, Mr. Shatrughna Sinha. Thank you very much for joining us today. And thank you to Pramod Zaveri for helping us connect with you. We greatly appreciate your time today. Namaste.
It's an honor being on the show with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.